Welcome to your out there life. You're the transport logistics operator, the I can take two more kind of neighbour. You're the bus driver to an ever-changing bunch. Which way is it? Oh fudge. There are plenty more like you out there. Here comes one now, not one seat spare. Mums and dads, multitaskers too. You're home now. Phew. Monkey, dinosaur, salamander. Welcome to your new Outlander.
Welcome to Tarmac Life. We're here for the fun toys, cars, SUVs, utes, flights, hotels, because the journey matters too, and even the odd motorbike when we feel like living dangerously. Epic drives and unforgettable experiences, all served up with plenty of banter and zero boring nonsense.
On tonight's show, Suzuki crosses a new frontier. We review the Fronx. We retrace the steps of the iconic Kiwi film for a good cause. We're on the Poke By charity run. Heads up, because we're talking warning lights on tonight's Tarmac Torque. And then we review Lotus's last lightweight sports car. Chapman would be proud of the Emira Turbo.
Kia ora, and thanks for joining us on tonight, which is our 10th episode. Man, I can't believe how time flies when you're having fun.
And a big part of that is, of course, the support that we get from you. So thank you very much.
And of course, a big thank you to all of those who've been giving us feedback, because we've been listening to it, whether it's good or bad. So make sure you keep it coming. And somebody else who's actually been listening to feedback is Suzuki, because of the demand in this sort of compact crossover space. Well, what they've done is bring their new Fronx to New Zealand, and we got a chance to review it up first.
Now, unusually we're going to start round the rear with this vehicle, and that's because that's where the name Fronx is. Now, when I first heard about this car, I actually thought Fonz, and that got me back into happy days and some hay and all that sort of stuff. But there is some leather in here, but no biker, and actually it's not quite as cool as the Fonz. But anyway, Fronx itself is actually a mixture of frontier, which is basically the fact that this vehicle is moving into a new frontier and does offer a new frontier for the brand, and also X, which is the cross side of things. So it is a crossover in the true sense of the word. And when you look around the rear, which is, we might as well stay here, what you have is a massive light bar across the back here, and that accentuates its 1765 meters of width. So it does really give it that expansive rear. There's some protective sort of plastics down here, a nice wiper blade, a rear spoiler at the top, stop lights, and also when you open up, I always think to open it there, you actually get 304 litres of boot space. It's relatively deep, but also relatively sort of shallow. So, but it does fit your overnight bags and also plenty of shopping. Now, in terms of dimensions, this vehicle, the Fronx, is actually just under 4 meters in length and 155 or 1550 in terms of height. So it will fit in most garages and fits nicely into most shopping mall sort of spaces, which is good. What Suzuki has given it is some nice DRLs up the top here, a very big wide grille, and also this sort of tri-system headlight, which does give you plenty of room out the plenty of light out the front, and gives it quite a bold look. So under the bonnet here we have a Suzuki hybrid powertrain, which is a 1.5 litre engine mated to a 6-speed gearbox. Together they give you 76 kilowatts of power, or just under, and 137 newton meters of torque, again slightly under. It actually pulls pretty well, and in terms of efficiency you get around about 5.4 litres per 100 kilometers.
And yes, the Fronx might be an all-new nameplate from Suzuki, and they say that they're kind of boldly going where no Suzuki has gone before as far as this car is concerned. But remember that this is a brand that knows how to do the compact small car really well, because what they've done is load it up with equipment, give you kind of oodles of space in here. You've got these two-tone leatherette seats on this two-tone model. That two-tone theme continues across the dashboard as well. And while those things might be generous, the Under armrest storage does leave a little bit to be desired, if I'm honest. But you can't have everything, right? Now, this infotainment screen is laid out fairly simply and in an easy-to-use sort of manner. So it uses this fairly simple system where you just sort of toggle around things like a slot machine almost, and it just revolves around with different menus. The same goes for the menu on the right-hand side here, where you can see we have actually been averaging 5.4 liters per 100 kilometers over quite a bit of driving.
Suzuki Fronx. It is an unusual name, but it's not an unusual car. It sits so well into the category that they've aimed for, which is a small cross, small SUV size, easy to navigate around town, and actually very capable on roads. So, or on the extended road. So it's very impressive, actually.
The backstory and the history of Suzuki when it comes to making small cars, right there. Swift, we talk about the Jimny, Vitara, SX4 S-Cross, Ignis, that whole portfolio, the experience that comes from making all of those small cars and, you know, in a way, perfecting that art to an extent is what they bring to the Fronx. And I've got to say, you know, what an amazing job they've done. I think that what surprised me the most is, yes, it's a compact crossover, but I've set the driving position up for myself, so Dave's feet are struggling to reach the pedals at the moment. But then when I sat in the back seat, the amount of knee room, headroom, foot room I had, I was really genuinely surprised. It is spacious back there.
Yeah, so it is good for the family, and like I say, good for a longer extended road drive.
And it has delivered, yes, the NEDC figure is always a little bit more optimistic, but where the WLTP number is concerned, it has delivered on the money over there, so you can't complain.
Okay, Fronx Frontier Cross. I think I finally get it. Thank you for explaining. But other than that, it was very clear that Suzuki is playing to their strengths with this car, right?
That's right. They really are a small car champion. So they've got the Swift, the Ignis, and the Jimny. So this really fits in as part of their missing link. Actually, speaking of missing link, where's Matt?
I have actually been out sorting dinner for you guys because, as you can see, these are pork pies, because our friend here, well, he actually missed out on, well, a little holiday Dave and I had earlier in the year when we went on the pork pie charity run after the break.
Choose what brings you joy. Choose adventure. Choose something extra. Choose to live large, even when driving small. Choose to roar. Choose to lead the charge by going electric, or the best of both worlds with a plug-in hybrid. Choose to connect while disconnecting with the world around you. Life's a joy when you live it on your own terms. What will you choose? The BMW X Range.
Where you going? We're taking that car to Invercargill, boy.
I'll drink to that.
Mini have invited us to go on the biannual pork pie charity run. So just like the 80s movie, we'll be starting off at the top of New Zealand, driving all the way to the south, the deep south, and all for a good cause of raising money for charity.
That's right, and many have given us two vehicles to try out. So we've got the Countryman in petrol form and also in EV form, which is going to give it a whole new aspect, particularly if we're doing the South Island in the EV. Anyway, Matthew's going to take the first stint, and he's going to be doing the North Island. I'm going to catch up with him in Wellington because I'm going to go and get some herbs from there. But anyway, over to you.
As they say in the movie, let's get this bloody car to Invercargill. First things first, I want to give a shout out to the team who've made this possible. From Pork Pie, Mini, of course, who have invited us on this trip and provided us with our media car that is a Countryman S. So thank you to all of them for making this possible and for getting behind the event and supporting Kids Can. Now, as you'll see, I don't have Dave here for now. He's off on his trip, or should I call him Dodgy Dave, while he's out doing his shenanigans. And instead, I've been on the run so far. So it actually began for me on the Thursday, where I popped into Mini, picked up this Countryman from their store in Auckland, and then drove up north to Pahia, which is where the run would start the following day. So a bit of time to rest and relax, and then next day we kicked off nice and early, left at 7 a.m, hit the road, driving through Auckland, and then heading further south there to a town called Pokeno, which is one of the original stops from the Pork Pie movie. Along the way and further south as well, we'll continue to trace the tracks that the movie took and that famous yellow Mini took across New Zealand. We also had a track cruise planned for Hampton Downs, which didn't go so well because there's been torrential rain all throughout, and I see it's just starting again. So with Hampton Downs cancelled, we headed straight to National Park, which was our overnight stay for day 1, and had a chance to catch up with Alex Brockhoff, who's the general manager of Mini Australia and New Zealand. And then this is officially day 2 now, if you like, of the trip, although it is day 3 for me, as I said before. And day 2, we're going to head from National Park through a place called Smash Palace, which is again one of the locations that the movie went through on its trip across New Zealand. And then from there, we'll head down to Wellington, which is the capital, and which is where I will be reunited with my co-presenter. So expect to see this frame of the camera blocked out once he arrives. Anyway, as you can hear from the sound behind me, the Minis have been firing up all morning, and we're about to hit the road. Right, so it's day 4, and today we were driving from Kaikoura, which is on the east coast, across the Southern Alps through to Hokitika, which is on the west coast.
Okay, and we've stopped by at Reefton to get a charge, and to add to the sense of drama, it's broken. So we have no charging capability. Thanks, ChargeNet.
And drama indeed, because we now have 83 kilometers of range, and our next town with major charging facilities, which is Greymouth, is 77 kilometers away. So, you reckon we could do it?
Well, it's going to be tight. Best you drove.
Yeah, we're in the very cold town of Cromwell now, and today was day 5, so we started off in Hokitika, which is on the west coast of New Zealand, drove through Franz Josef, which is where the glacier is, the Southern Alps, and then finished up our day here in the town of Cromwell, which is where Highland Park is.
Honestly, it was a magnificent drive through the gorges and through the mountains and stuff like that. So good, and the backdrop was just amazing. We'll see if we can show you some of that. And then there was a bit touch and go, particularly with the charging. That poor Mini going up and down the hills does take a toll on the charge. We just about got to Wanaka with very few Ks. We were on turtle mode again, and then a splash and dash, and then we got to the racetrack where we did some laps. And actually, well, we didn't actually, but the Minis did. It was phenomenal, and what a day. But we managed to do it, which is great, and we definitely need something warm now.
Yep, the EV is getting its refuel for the evening with 2 Ks left to spare. Where we're going to go and get some warm dinner. But tomorrow morning, it's the final day. We drive from here in Cromwell down to Invercargill, which is the southernmost tip of New Zealand, for the black tie dinner to finish off the 2025 pork pie charity run.
And hopefully we'll have a pork pie as well, or 2. Anyway, wish us luck. What an experience. We've brought the bloody Mini to Invercargill. Yes. So 6-day event, 2,500 Ks and 50 teams, 50 Minis involved. Just like I said, an amazing experience. What have we learned?
Well, before that, pick your co-driver, because after all of this time, luckily, Dave and I still don't hate each other. So how about that?
Yeah, marginally.
But if you are going to do this drive, we suggest doing it in a classic Mini for the true experience and the true perils of it, if you like. Make sure you get involved, join the group, dress up, raise money for Kids Can, do all of that, and really jump in head first.
Yeah, you also have to be a little bit mental, I think, on some of this as well. The other thing is, as far as Minis go, the EVs are going to be a little bit of a problem, particularly right now, and particularly in the South Island. So we would say probably, well, maybe steer a little bit away or plan ahead is probably the best right way to do it. And yeah, but they both perform very, very well. And actually on that, we do want to thank Mini for, giving us these cars and letting us or inviting us along to this hell of an experience.
In total, we raised more than $450,000.
Well, we didn't, but the whole event did. And actually, well on the way to the target of 500,000. So magnificent. There's still time to donate if you get a chance. But I'm gonna see if I can get here after a rest. If I can get here in another 2 years, it'll be great.
Goodbye, pork pie.
I really liked your guys' commitment. You really did take that bloody car all the way down to Invercargill. And on such large trip, I'm sure that an old Mini would have thrown on 1 or 2 warning lights. But do you know what they mean? That's the topic of tonight's Tarmac Torque. Cars today are undeniably safer than they have ever been. And there are many different ways in which manufacturers can achieve this. You get active but also passive safety systems, and they will come with all the different chimes that you get inside of the car, but also the warning lights. Many of these lights will show up as part of the start sequence for the car, but provided that they go away in a few seconds, you should be good to go. And as a rule of thumb, if the light is green or blue, then it is all good for you. That's because most of the green and blue lights have to do with the situation of the car, as to whether or not you are using your indicators, if you have your headlights on, or more importantly, if you're not dazzling other drivers when using your high beams. But then things change a little bit more if your lights are then orange or red, because that means your car might be dead. And that is because these lights are usually talking about things that will require your immediate attention, or they might lead to very expensive mistakes or even a crash. So think about you having an engine that is going up in temperature, or that you'll have your levels very low in terms of fluids, but also if your car is struggling for traction. As you can see, most of these lights are relatively self-explanatory, and it does help that manufacturers have been standardizing them through the years. Still, there are a few curveballs here and there, so here's 5, and let's see if you can guess them. How did you get on with that?
So now I can work out what those Christmas tree of lights are all about. It demystifies it, to be honest. It's great.
And one of those warning lights which he did cover is the one where it looks like the car's sort of doing S marks on the road or drifting in a way, which is usually the traction control turned off. But one car where you don't want to see that light is the Lotus Emira Turbo, which we review after the break.
Discover a new kind of space with the all-new Škoda Kodiaq. Škoda.
Looks-wise, there isn't actually, well, much at all to tell it apart from the V6 supercharged model. But in saying that, that's not at all a detriment to the car, because it is such a good-looking thing. The way the lines flow, especially you'll see around the side, it makes it look exotic. Everywhere you go, the car draws eyes. And for those who really know the Lotus brand, there's so much of similarity here to their electric hypercar, the Avaya. And that is fully intentional, because this Emira is almost meant to be, if you like, a road-going baby version of that electric monster. The front end does serve an extremely important purpose in terms of its aerodynamics and cooling in terms of what it hides under there. So underneath, you can see the radiators, there's a cooling fan, so some serious hardware going on there to keep this car planted and at the same time cool and able to perform at its best. The lines, yes, of the Emira look really good, and it looks quite a compact sports car, which it is actually. So the length is only about 4.4 meters long. Width sits at about 1.89 meters, and then height-wise, you can see even somebody like me is towering over it. So just imagine Harry. It's 1.225 tall, so relatively compact, short wheelbase, but that's exactly what you want. The more important thing back here, or more so in the middle of the car, is that engine with the Lotus cover on it. Now, hiding underneath there is actually a Mercedes-AMG powered powertrain. And what that is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It puts out 360 horsepower, which is roughly 268 kilowatts of power and something like 430 Newton meters of torque. What that means is a 0 to 100 sprint time of 4.4 seconds. So it is quick, and as you'll see from later on, it's certainly a very theatrical powertrain to listen to. Everything feels good to touch, within reach, and it's just a nice place to be in here.
Yeah, it really is. The quality of the materials is spot on. I don't think that we found a single place that we would sort of fault in terms of build quality or what sort of texture they decided to put. And as you said, it might be a little bit hard to get in and out. At the end of the day, it is quite a low car, but once you're in, there is so much adjustability on the seats. For the two of us, we could bring it all the way forward, all the way back. I loved the fact that you can really bring it down low and raise the support for the back of your thighs, because it's something that can be quite compromising on sports cars. Not the case here. It's a very good place to be.
The suspension translates into the experience of the car. It is, while this may be the luxurious two-seater Lotus sports car, it is still a Lotus sports car, very much so, and they don't want you to forget that in any element of it. So even the steering feel, for example, is so good. It feels like you're so in touch with the road. The suspension itself, while it being harder for a longer touring type drive, it gives you all the feedback you want from the road surface underneath, and makes you feel, I think, truly connected to the car in a way that only a Lotus can do. But then, even if you need the power, well, when you want the power, you just drop a couple of gears, even in tour mode, and away you go. It just picks up just like that. I think what we both want to say about that four-cylinder is that it is quite special. It's not like a regular 2-liter 4-pot. This thing, you know, is so entertaining. There's so much pantomime to it. It pops and it bangs and it crackles and it whooshes, and then you can hear the turbo flutter.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's not just a 4-cylinder, right? It's the most powerful 4-cylinder engine, and now that it is just here, like a couple of, it's so close to our heads, you get to experience a lot of the noise, even noises that you usually don't get when it is all the way there up the front after a firewall. So it adds to experience 100%. And then you also get the turbo spooling up that helps build that anticipation of this shove that we just experienced. So yes, you might get a little bit more of a naturally aspirated experience with the V6, but the 4-cylinder has a lot to add to this car as well.
You really have to drive it to be appreciated. I don't think any amount of reviewing or talking can actually do justice to the experience that you get from driving this Emira.
So gentlemen, that looked amazing, and it was funny watching you two cramped in a small car. It's usually me and him. I have to say, coming from England, that isn't this the last Lotus to be built there?
Well, yes, at the moment it is the last one being made at their facility in Norfolk, which I have been to, and it's so amazing to see what Colin Chapman bought and built decades ago is still being used and expanded on. So hats off to them from that perspective. And yes, we missed the sound of the V6 on this one, but again, with emission regulations, the magic of Lotus has been in the handling, right? And I think it's safe to say that this has that.
So there you have it. These guys have proven that British can be lightweight. We have actually crossed the frontier with the Suzuki on the Suzuki Fronx. We've eaten a pork pie and actually driven on the pork pie run. And we've also now know the difference between brake lights and warning lights. Thanks for joining us, and see you on episode 11. Kia ora, and thanks for joining us.
Looking down doesn't make any sense. Like I was receiving the explanation.
What we have on next, the Lotus Emira Turbo.
After the break.
Oh, come on.
Oh my God, I've got a big personality.
Okay, Fronx. Thank you for finally explaining this.
Frontier X. Frontier Cross.
What did I say? Okay, Fronx. Frontier Cross. Frontier Cross. Frontier Cross.
How much fun, how quickly time goes, time flies, yes. Time does fly, not with me.
Okay, Fronx. Frontier
Cross.
No, Cross. Why is it the X? It's
a cross.
Me off guard so
much. You can go Frontier Cross.
Frontier Cross. Okay, Fronx. Frontier Cross.
It's really bad anyway.
It's a bit wilted.
Introducing the all-new Subaru Forester with next-generation strong hybrid and over 1,000 kilometre range. The all-new Subaru Forester. Get ready to own the road and conquer the wild. Have it all-wheel drive with Subaru.